Welcome to Last Week in Auburn Football. And this is a new show I'm trying out, a live format on my channel, Infinite Auburn. And my name is Chase, and I'll be your host. And this week, I want to take a look at a few big stories that happened in Auburn football, a few stories that are developing. And the place I want to start is with some coaching updates we've had this week. So we'll start with a few of those coaching updates. So, first up, we've had some news surfacing about Derrick Mason. And so right now these are rumors, but they are pretty strong rumors at that. So the current rumor is that Oklahoma State is extremely interested in hiring Auburn's current defensive coordinator, Derrick Mason. And the reason for this, why would Derrick Mason want to leave a job at Auburn for to make a lateral move at Oklahoma State? There's some rumors that he's not happy at Auburn. As for why that is, it's all speculation at the moment. But regardless, the going rumor is that he is out, and it seems like it's almost a done deal. That being said, the question is, if Derrick Mason is out, who's coming in to fill his role? And currently on our roster, not on our roster, on our coaching staff, we have Jeff Schmeddy. So Jeff Schmeddy is formerly Brian Harsin's, sorry, I'm getting a little choked up, need some water. He is formerly Brian Harsin's defensive coordinator at Boise State. So this move kind of makes sense. He knows this guy, he knows his system. Coach Harsin does, and it only makes sense for him to come in and take over in the absence of Derrick Mason. I know I've already heard some people not happy with this because they see it as Brian Harsin turning Auburn into Boise State Junior or something like that, or the Boise State of the South. And I get that, but at the same time, Coach Harsin has to be able to trust his coaches and trust the guys to implement his system. Not saying he did not trust Derrick Mason, but we see what's happening. He is bringing in his guys, and this is ultimately his team, and he's got to live with these decisions. The other thing we saw, aside from the possibility of Jeff Schmeddy becoming the defensive coordinator, is Christian Robinson. So Christian Robinson is currently at Florida. And right now the rumor is that, or not the rumor, it's happening, Auburn has hired him to come in and be the inside linebackers coach. I don't know much about him, but from what I've read and what I've seen others say, this seems like it's going to be a very good move for Auburn, a very good hire for Auburn. So this is one I want to look into a little more, but it seems like he's got some credibility behind him. He knows what he's doing, and he should bring something good to Auburn, to the Plains. What's up, Pate Productions? Going back to Christian Robinson, one good thing that could come out of this, there is a player that's entered the transfer portal. So we had the announcement of Christian Robinson from Florida coming to Auburn, and shortly after that, or shortly before, I'm not sure what the timing was, but the same day, we found out that Tyron Hopper, who is a linebacker at Florida, you see the connection there, he has entered the transfer portal. So the question now is he going to follow Christian Robinson to Auburn? This is a former four-star linebacker. Last year, he had somewhere in the ballpark of 60 to 65. I think it was 65 tackles in 2021. So this would be a very good player to join our linebacker room, especially with some of the players that we are losing. So this is a good thing. This is something we want to see happen. Next up, and sorry that picture is a little smaller than I wanted. I'm still working on some of the formatting. But next up, we heard that Ty Gatson out of Minnesota has been hired to join the staff at Auburn, to join Brian Harsin. And at Minnesota, he was the recruiting coordinator and the transfer portal manager. So he's going to be coming to Auburn to really take over recruiting operations and be the associate director of player personnel. So he's going to handle, I would imagine, some of that transfer portal kind of stuff and maybe some of the NIL deal stuff as well. War Eagle, Wade Jackson, I'm glad you're able to join in and watch. And the final thing, I don't have a picture for this one, but I was a little bummed out about this news. So I'm sure you saw that T-Rob, formerly of Auburn, most recently he was at where was he? He was most recently at Miami. He has decided he's going to go to Bama, of all places. This kind of floored me. I was a little shocked, but he did decide he was going to go to Bama. I do see somebody is helping me make a correction on something. Cam, you said he took his name out of the portal. Okay, so this must be the guy. I saw something on Twitter pop up, and it said that he entered the portal and took his name out of the portal really quickly, and so that's referring to Tyron Hopper. So thank you for that update and correction. Before I move, the next part I want to move to, so those are all the coaching updates I have. I want to move into some player updates next. Before I do that, let me look at the chat for just a minute. Jeff Barksdale, a long time ago, players stayed at one school and were loyal to it. True story. That happened, and it seems like, and I think I heard B. Will on the War Report talking about this. That was what happened, but in the new wild, wild west that is college football, it's just not happening now. Guys will commit to a school. They will stay at that school for a little bit, and if they don't see, really, it seems like that instant gratification. If they're not getting that instant gratification, they're not getting the playtime right away. They're really not looking to stick with the school. And the two things that are affecting that the most are the transfer portal rule and the NIL rules, which I will touch on the NIL rule in just a little bit because there was something that happened in the legislature in Alabama that I want to touch on. But Jeff, I completely get what you're saying. This is a situation where the nature of the game has changed, and it's leaning more towards being like the NFL in a way because money's involved. And then at the same time, you can, if you don't like where you are, you're not getting the playtime you want, you can just leave. So we don't see, I have a feeling we're not going to see as many people who just commit to the school because they love the school. They're going to be hopping around to whichever school they think they can get the most playing time at. And I don't, as far as how I feel about it, I understand why they're doing what they're doing, especially if they want to play in the NFL. If they stick around for a while and they don't get that time, I get it. But then you also get these guys like, what's his name, Robinson Jr. at Alabama, who stays there for 4 or 5 years and does not get to play until his 4th or 5th year, his senior year. And then has they didn't have a great year at running back, but he had his breakout year. He had his moment, but he waited and he put in the time. And now we're going to have a struggle with people wanting to stay and wanting to put in the time. What's up, Gregory Lawrence? Thanks for stopping in. War Eagle Daryl Williams. Any news on the D-line coach? That one is still up in the air at the moment. I've not heard any definitive names. I've just heard the names mentioned of people they're interested in, but nobody serious yet. Just a couple names from the NFL, but nobody serious just yet. And so who said that? Sorry, I had a pop up just now. Per Alabama rules. Where is that? Here it is. So per Alabama rules, is Saban going to retire now? I highly doubt it. He's going to stick around. I really think, as far as that goes, I think he's going to stay around until he beats Bear Bryant's record. So he has 6 national championships at Alabama. I figure he'll stick around until he at least gets 7, because why not? All right, moving on. Thank you guys for throwing those comments in the chat. Moving on, we're going to go to let me do this first. This will be a self plug. If you do want to join the Booster Club, you really don't get much for it. I'm not going to lie to you. This is just a cheap way to support my channel on a monthly basis. So if you like the videos I put out and you want to support me on a monthly basis, it's $2 a month, $1.99 a month. You don't get much for it other than, you get to support me if you like my stuff. So, put that out there. Now moving on to some player updates, because we've had quite a few this week. And so the first one I want to look at are some of the transfers we've had out. And I'm not covering every single player update because we've had a ton of recruiting news that has come out. I really want to wait to cover that until we get closer to National Signing Day. So I'm going to look at the players who've transferred out recently, one update in recruiting, and then some news about a returning player that came out. So first up, we have some players who've transferred out, and these are some moves that I feel like one of them has hurt us. The others are not as big of a deal. No offense. But the one that I think is the biggest deal out of this group, and let me blow that up a little bit for you. Lee Hunter. So on the top left, Lee Hunter, he did announce that he's leaving Auburn. He committed to UCF. So there was a picture out of him with a sword standing with his family. Gus is really pulling Auburn guys like crazy right now. So he has committed to UCF. In the bottom left corner, you see Dre Butler. Dre Butler, he was on the D line. He's committed to Liberty and Hugh Freeze. On the far right side, you see JJ Pegues. He was a player that's kind of been tossed around on the offense and defense and just trying to find a spot for him. And he decided his spot was going to be at Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin. And then finally, today we heard that Ian Matthews, freshman D lineman, he's decided he is leaving. And I've not heard his landing spot just yet, but he's entered the transfer portal. That's a pretty fresh story, and we don't know where he's going just yet. Taking this comment real quick, did Derrick Mason leave? He's not left yet, but all the rumors seem to point to it's happening. It sounds like it's almost a done deal. And while it's not completely official yet, it does look like this is happening, although we can't confirm it until he actually leaves. Jeff Barksdale, I'm surprised Hunter never left in the spring game. He was dominating. I was a little shocked by that as well. I thought he was going to be a guy that we're going to see a whole lot of in the 2022 season. So this was the move that came out of nowhere for me and shocked me because I did think he would be a standout player for this upcoming season. And what's up, Darrell? Thanks for joining, man. Moving on to more of these player updates. So in recruiting, the biggest story in recruiting recently is the fact that we had Caden Story decommit. That doesn't necessarily mean he's not coming to Auburn, but the fact he made a point to decommit from Auburn and he's holding off on his commitment tells us that he is looking for something better, in his opinion. And I have a feeling he will not end up with us. He's going to go somewhere else. But I just don't think there's any way he's going to be at Auburn when we get to National Signing Day. And then finally, we got some news about another player who is returning. I think we're almost to the point where we're returning our entire offensive line, or almost our entire offensive line. And think about that what you want. Good news is that we are returning some experience. Bad news is I'll let you guys handle that in the comments. But we are returning Brandon Council, and out of all the returning players, he's one. I feel good about him coming back. There's a lot that can be said about the O-line, but what we know for sure is we don't have anybody to take their place. So because we don't have a lot of people behind them to take their place, we need to be happy that they're returning, because at least we have somebody right now. And when we are recruiting the number one center in the state, he's not going to be here yet. He's going to be here in 2023. He still has his senior season to play. So we have guys coming, or at least a guy coming. I have a feeling we will get more, but we have to give it time. So this is some good news. This is a good story. Our O-line's returning. I'm here for it. I'm glad. Say what you want to in the comments about it, but I'm very happy with this. Next up, we had some news about the Alabama NIL law. So there was a law that was put into place by, and let me not mess up his name. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. His name is Kyle South. So Kyle South wrote a law last June that would allow players in Alabama. So think of all the colleges, but mostly Alabama and Auburn. He wrote a bill to allow players to receive money for endorsements based on their name, their image, their likeness, basically what was being done nationally, but it had not been done yet. He put something forth early so that the players in our state could benefit quicker. And then that went into effect on July 1st. But because of the changes that the NCAA has made, there's really no point in this bill existing. And from what Kyle South said, it sounds like it was actually going to be more restrictive than the NCAA guidelines. So I'm going to read, there's an article that I will link later in the description. But there's an AL.com article, and in this article it says, last year Alabama passed, here's the quote. Representative Kyle South, who sponsored legislation last year, is sponsoring this year's bill to repeal the law. He said the law is not necessary and is more restrictive than what the NCAA allows. So therefore, there's no state law needed because players can rely on the NCAA guidelines. And South's repeal bill passed today by a vote of 97-1. And so now it moves to the Senate. I don't see any reason why this will not pass. But this was a lot of people were headline reading when they saw this. Guys, I'm struggling. Sorry about that. A lot of people were reading headlines when they saw this, and they assumed it meant that players in the state could not earn money for their name, image, and likeness anymore. That's not true. They're just saying that the need for the bill is gone, so they're just doing away with it because the NCAA has really fixed the problem. Let me check on the comments real quick, and then I want to go to the next story. Thank you for the kind words in Vision. Can you confirm that Zach Calzada is committed to Auburn? Yeah, Zach Calzada, he committed to Auburn. We have the 5 scholarship quarterbacks we have right now. We've got Zach Calzada, we've got TJ Finley, Robbie Ashford, we have Holden Garner, and D. Davis. So Demetrius Davis. So those are the 5 scholarship quarterbacks who are going to be at Auburn. I do not see all 5 of them making it to the start of the season. I expect one of them to transfer. As far as who that will be, I don't know. Personally, I think it would probably be TJ Finley or Demetrius Davis. I really don't want to see Davis leave. Not saying I want to see TJ Finley leave. I don't. I want all 5 of them to go to the spring game or through the spring and eventually to the spring game. And I want whoever the best player is, I want them to be our quarterback. So I don't want anybody to leave. I want a quarterback competition. And then whoever loses, bye. Y'all can go. But that's just my stance on it. War Eagle, Erica, thanks for stopping by. And you asked the question, is Derrick Mason leaving? That has not been officially confirmed yet, but the going story is, yes, that Derrick Mason is leaving. It seems that he will more than likely be going to Oklahoma State. So while it's not 100% confirmed yet, it seems that is more than likely what's going to happen unless they work out a deal behind the scenes, which we know that's always possible. So it's possible that he could work out something before he leaves. But based on the rumors I'm hearing with him not being happy at Auburn, it seems like he's leaning towards leaving. And if that happens, Jeff Schmeddy will probably become the defensive coordinator because he has been the defensive coordinator before for Brian Harsin at Boise State. Will Robbie Ashford play baseball at Auburn? I'm really not sure. It seems like it would make sense for him to play baseball at Auburn. He played baseball at Oregon. He played, I think, in the 21 season this past year. So I think it would make sense, but I've not heard. I may see if I can find that out. I may send his mom a message or something on Twitter and see if she can say anything about it. Mason is gone. Yeah, that looks to be the case. And Jeff, this is completely what I'm saying. It is up in the air So while I'm saying it's likely that he's going to leave, he is not gone yet because things can always be worked out behind the scenes, and sometimes money talks. So we'll have to see what happens. And Auburn is better job, and we have better players. I think so. I think it would be a more desirable job, but sometimes there's other factors going on behind the scene that we do not know about. Whoops. And last story, let me put this back up there. Last story I have is just the Auburn-Oregon deal. And I think in general, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but I think we got a pretty good deal out of this. But we had Bo Nix go to Oregon. And I know this wasn't an official deal, but it certainly feels like it. Bo Nix went to Oregon, and in return, we got 3 players. So the 3 players we got out of this deal, we got defensive tackle Jason Jones. You can see him in the far or top right corner. We got quarterback DJ James in the kind of middle top right there. And then we also got quarterback Robbie Ashford. And Robbie Ashford is the one I'm the most excited about because he's not seen any playtime yet, but he was quarterback at Hoover High School, and he did well while he was there. And he really hasn't gotten his chance yet to play and show what he can do at the collegiate level. But from everything I've seen, he's got the skill set. He's got the ability to run. He was one of the top dual threat quarterbacks coming out of high school. And we know at Auburn, typically we do well with dual threat quarterbacks. But then on top of it, he was one of the top pocket passers to come out of that class or come out of the state at that time. So I think Ashford, he's kind of a question mark, but at the same time, we know he has a skill set that has not been utilized yet. And so I'm interested to see how these coaches use him in the spring. And hopefully, what I don't want to happen, I do not want to see a repeat of last A-Day. The last A-Day we had, if anybody went, I was there, and I was extremely frustrated at how the coaches chose to play the quarterbacks. The coaches were very reserved with how they put the quarterbacks in. And y'all correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm trying to remember. I know Bo Nix got a lot of the time, which we expected him to get some. And then behind Bo Nix, we had Grant Loy getting second string snaps. And that just blew my mind and everybody else. Like, Grant Loy was our second best quarterback. Come on. And then we had who was it at the time that there was one quarterback who got like one play, and I was a little disappointed, and he transferred shortly after. Davis got like 30. It seemed like 30 seconds worth of play time. Sawyer Pate got like 2 or 3 plays. Lindsey got a few plays. But what I really wanted to see, I was hoping we'd see like a quarter from Bo Nix and whoever the second string is. Really just get some even play time, split it up, give everybody a quarter. That allows 8 quarterbacks to play. 8, because you got 2 sides of the ball. So give everybody some play time, let the fans see the quarterbacks, and then we'll feel better about the decisions the coaches make. Not that they care what we think or should care what we think, but at the same time, we saw what happened last season. And this should be the season. This should be the time where we have a true quarterback competition. Let me go back to the comments because I know I've missed some. Highlights look good, Erica. I agree. So if you've not seen his highlights, I'll try to add that in the description tomorrow as well. But if you've not seen Robbie Ashford's highlights, look them up. He does have some pretty good highlights. He also has A-Day. You can look up Oregon's A-Day from last year, and he did get some playing time in that as well. Zach, who is the wide receiver from Georgia who is in the portal? I think I saw that, but I don't remember what his name is. Let me see what else we got here. Ashford is an Auburn type QB, and he's a homegrown kid. That's important for future recruiting. Okay, guys, I want to make a comment here, and I hope everybody hears me on this. So I was in an Auburn Twitter space a couple of days ago. Whenever it was announced that Robbie Ashford was coming to Auburn, I was in a Twitter space and I was listening. Sometimes I'll hop in and I'll talk, but on this day I was just listening. And one of the speakers, thought it was a good idea to start trashing Robbie Ashford, and that's a terrible idea. There's no reason we should be trashing a new player coming to our school. Saw people do the same thing when Zach Calzada was announced. We've got to cut that kind of stuff out, because the crazy thing, what happened when the Twitter space was going on and Robbie Ashford was being talked about and somebody was talking bad about him, his mom was one of the speakers. So his mom heard that. She shouldn't have to hear that kind of stuff. Like, guys, we can do better than that. So that kind of stuff, if you see it, just shut it down. We don't need to be feeding those kind of people. We don't need to entertain them when those are the choices they're going to make, because that represents us bad as Auburn fans. You can think what you want about how players played at previous schools, but ultimately, once they're coming to us, let's be welcoming. And then until they show us what they can do at Auburn, let's give them the benefit of the doubt, because they might do better for us than they did at their previous school. I'll get off my soapbox on that one. New quarterback coach, Jeff. The new quarterback coach may be an instrument. Yes, absolutely. He was very instrumental in getting Ashford here, or at least I think he was. We know that if you're a quarterback in college, you probably want to go to the NFL. And the fact that Austin Davis was a quarterback coach for Russell Wilson is a big draw to a lot of these kids. So I do think that was a very smart move on Harson's part. That's something that goes along with everything he's doing with trying to get to show Auburn as a place where you can go and then go to the NFL. We saw how he did early signing day, like the NFL draft. He's really trying to change the culture and change the mindset. And I think bringing Austin Davis in is just another step in that direction. Is this official? So B-Red said that Burton and JT Daniels are going to Ole Miss. Does anybody know if that is official? I've not seen that. I saw that JT Daniels entered the transfer portal, and I guess Burton was the wide receiver, but I'd not seen where they landed yet. Let me see what else we got. Yeah, I agree. Erica, it's going to be O-line play that's going to help the QB this year. You can have a great QB. Yep, you can have a great QB, great in the system, but if there isn't blocking for the quarterback, how good can they be? And I know some people are not thrilled about the O-line returning, but I still stand by what I said with that. We're returning a lot of experience. That's a good thing. That's going to give Harsin and I guess Will Friend some time to get some new guys in. And when we get this number one center in the state in, I think we're going to be in good shape. Man, Casey, I really don't think this is going to happen. I may be wrong, but the Caleb Williams story, I don't feel like it's going to happen. It just makes too much sense for him to go to USC with Lincoln Riley, but I may be wrong about that. Do you believe Calzada will be the starter? And if so, do you believe he'll be better than Bo? I think that Calzada is, personally, I think he's the current starter. I know they've not named that, but based on everything we've seen, we know Harsin wants to beat Bama. Calzada beat Bama. And I think that has to be playing out in Harsin's mind. So I think he's probably the favorite to be the starter at the moment. That can change, but I do personally think that's why Calzada was brought in, because of his experience this past year, and he does have that marquee win against Alabama. And yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. No need to bash players, especially when they're new to the team. Come on, guys. What else we got? And Jeff, that's what I'm talking about, man. True fans welcome players. And finally, Zach, I hope we stay on the NFL coaching search. I agree. I think this is what the players want to see. And this, I mean, think about how that worked out with Nick Eason. Unfortunately, he left, but it worked out really well for us last year, and it really helped with recruiting. And so I think that's probably where we're headed. All right, guys, that is all I have for tonight. This is my first time doing a live show like this. How did I miss all this? This is my first time doing a live show like this, where it's more organized in this format. And this is a format I plan on doing going forward because I can do this consistently. I will tell you, I'm going to try to do it a little earlier in the future. I'm going to shoot for 8:30 or 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is probably where I will land because it works a little better with my personal life, because I can get the kids settled and all that. And then I can come in here and do this. So 9 o'clock is probably when I'm going to shoot for. Thursdays work well for me. And so it's going to be more than likely Tuesdays or Thursdays. I'm working that out. But more than likely, I'm going to shoot for 9 o'clock on Thursdays to do Last Week in Auburn football on this channel as a live show. So thank you guys for watching this one this week. I really had a lot of fun. If you catch this in replay, please leave a comment because I want to know what you think and if you like this. And like I said, anybody who's watching with me live, thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. And I will